figures that came out a couple of days ago said that in the last 12 months there were 1,770 new restaurants, net growth of restaurants in the UK, and over 100 net restaurants in London. And so there's a massive demand for restaurants. There's a massive interest in restaurants in the UK at the moment. There's a big appetite for it, but that obviously is bringing challenges to a lot of restaurant operators as well. As Burger and Lobster have done recently, so Manchester, outside of London, has kind of become the second city for restaurants in the UK at the moment. So recently, in the last 8 or 9 months, we've had Hawksmoor. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Hawksmoor. It's a big kind of, got a high-end steakhouse, which is about 7 sites now. They've just opened in Manchester. Oaxaca has come to Manchester. Burger and Lobster recently came to Manchester. So, whereas I think 4 or 5 years ago, chains who had 3 or 4 sites in London would have looked to continue to build in London, like Byron, for example, is a very well-respected burger chain. I think it launched its 50th site, was its first one really outside of London. Whereas now we're seeing brands launch their 4th site outside of London in Manchester. My predictions for future trends that are going to work over here, tacos are coming. They've been coming for a couple of years, but there's been real interest in genuine tacos, particularly in the last couple of years. Healthy concepts. Healthy food has been talked about in the UK for the past couple of years, and it's never really gone anywhere. I think the problem we've had is that whereas in Los Angeles and places where the movement has really taken up in the last 3 or 4 years, we don't have the climate. You don't want to eat a salad on a wet, December afternoon. You want a pie. And I think where restaurants have failed in the past is they failed to really understand that logic, and they've opened up salad bars in places, and they do well for a bit, and then they fall away. That said, if you look at the predominant cookbooks that have been launched in the UK and are doing particularly well in the last 4 or 5 months, they are all health-based. Jamie Oliver's new cookbook, and Jamie Oliver is a very good barometer for what the public at large wants. His new cookbook is all about healthy foods. There are a couple of horrible twins who do healthy foods and are very successful at it, and it seems to be a groundswell towards healthy food that is coming, and being able to tap into that successfully is a challenge, but somebody I think is going to come in and do it. And Leon is a prime example of a company that almost was too early to it. So it launched about 8 years ago. It kind of bummed along with 2 or 3 sites. It sold quite a few sites early on, and it was a kind of a healthy fast food concept. Now its kind of rollout has exploded. It's got very quickly up to 16 sites. It's going to probably have another 16 sites in the next couple of years, and that it's now riding a wave that it was a bit too ahead of beforehand. But I think that's going to bring in other competitors to come and fight with them. Finally, for anyone opening a restaurant now, thinking of opening a restaurant, the two big challenges are property, because everyone's fighting over the same property, and staffing. So it's been well documented at the moment that there's a massive shortage of staffing levels in the UK, front of house and in particularly the chefs. And this is only going to get worse because, as we discussed before, the market is growing at 2-3% every year. Restaurants are opening 2,000 extra restaurants every year. There aren't enough staff in the UK to fulfil the needs of all these restaurants.